This is a lecture from OpenTuition. To benefit from the lecture, you should download the free lecture notes from opentuition.com.
Chapter 6, we're going to have a look at the tax year basis of assessment. Now, what this is all about is we've gone through adjustment to profits, we've gone through capital allowances, plant and machinery, SBAs, and we've calculated our tax adjusted trading profit, remember, for a period of account. So a trader can have whatever year end they like, but a tax year, of course, runs from the 6th of April to the following 5th of April, and we need to calculate the amount that's going to go to our income tax computation for a tax year. So this is how we do it. Now, just a reminder of our steps, and some of which, of course, we've done already. So a reminder of the steps so far. So step 1 is you adjust the accounting profit for a period of account. So whatever period of account you've got, whatever year end you've got, remember you adjust the profit. Then you calculate any capital allowances, so plant and machinery and SBAs, once again, for the period of account. Now remember, of course, under the cash basis, the only capital allowances that you could possibly have would be on cars. Once you've calculated your capital allowances, you deduct it from your adjusted profit to arrive at your tax adjusted trading profit for a period of account. So notice that up until this point, we're not even thinking about tax years. Yeah, we do it for a period of account, year ended the 31st of December or the 30th of September or whatever it might be. Once you get to that tax adjusted trading profit for that period of account, then you start thinking about tax years. So how do we match a period of account to a tax year? So we match it using our tax year basis rules. So our tax year basis rules, we match a period of account or periods of account, there could be more than one, to a tax year. And then whatever figure that we get after we've applied our tax year basis rules, then that's what we put in our income tax computation, along with anything else that we've got for that tax year. So a period of account, say, is the period covered by the profit and loss account. So like I say, we can have whatever year end we like. Now, if a trader has got a year end of the 5th of April, then it's really easy because our period of account is exactly the same as the tax year. So therefore, whatever tax adjusted trading profit we've calculated, we can put straight into our income tax computation. So it's nice and straightforward. We could have a year end of the 31st of March. And if that's the case, we actually ignore the first few days in April. And therefore, we say, well, a year end of the 31st of March is as good as a year end of the 5th of April. So that means that whatever your tax adjusted trading profits are for the year ended the 31st of March, we put that in our income tax computation as though it were the same as the tax year. Ignore those first few days in April. So special rules there are applied when the year end is not the 5th of April or the 31st of March, and also when a trader either starts to trade or ceases to trade. We've got some special rules. So let's have a look at when we start to trade. So when we start to trade, then what we're going to take to our income tax computation in that first tax year of trading is the profits that have arisen from the date that we started to trade up until the end of the tax year, up until the 5th of April. Now, in an exam, we work to the nearest month. So really, we take from the date of commencement of trade up until the 31st of March. Once again, you ignore those first few days in April. Profits and losses are deemed to accrue evenly. So therefore, if you've started to trade on the 1st of January and you've made up your accounts to the 31st of December, for the first tax year of trade, we want the profits from the 1st of January to the 31st, to the 31st of March, strictly speaking, the 5th of April. Yeah. And that's 3 months. So if you've got a 12-month set of accounts, we simply take 3/12 of the results from that first 12-month period. If your first period is 9 months, we would take 3/9, and so on. So profits and losses are deemed to accrue evenly. And we simply time apportion them. Yeah. So work to the nearest month. We say we work to the 31st of March rather than the 5th of April, but strictly speaking, it is the 5th of April. So we've got a couple of illustrations here. We've got Stuart starts to trade on the 1st of November 2025 and chooses an accounting date of the 30th of September. Now, our first accounts are from the 1st of November 25 to the 30th of September 2026. And that's 11 months. So it's really, really important for you to correctly identify the number of months. So we start to trade on the 1st of November 2025, and that's in the tax year 2025-26. So therefore, we need the profits from the 1st of November 2025 to the 5th of April 2026, but don't forget that we work to the 31st of March. We ignore those first few days in April. So that gives us November, December, January, February, March. We're going to tax 5 months worth of profit in that first tax year. Now, 5 months worth of profit, that 5 months lies completely within our first set of accounts, which is 11 months long. And therefore we simply time apportion and we take 5/11ths of that tax adjusted trading profit. And that is what's going to go to our income tax computation for Stuart in the tax year 2025-26. So 5 months within an 11-month set of accounts, 5/11ths of that tax adjusted trading profit, which is £10,000 in this case. So another illustration that we've got there is we've got Alex starts to trade on the 1st of June 2025, and we choose an accounting date of the 31st of December. So for the accounting period, the 1st of June 25 to the 31st of December, tax adjusted trading profits at £8,000, and then for the year ended the 31st of December 26, the £24,000. So once again, we start to trade in 2025-26. So we want the profits from the 1st of June 25 when we started to trade up until the 5th of April 2026. Now we have, for that period, is actually 10 months. Now that actually spans 2 sets of accounts, because our first set of accounts is from the 1st of June 2025 to the 31st of December 25, which is 7 months. So we're going to take all of that 7-month period there, which is £8,000. And we're missing January, February and March of 2026. Now that 3-month period lies completely within our second set of accounts, which is 12 months long. Once again, profits and losses are deemed to accrue evenly, so we're simply going to take 3/12ths of that profit of £24,000 for the year ended the 31st of December 2026. And that gives us our profits from the 1st of June 25, whoops, wrong pen, when we started to trade, up until the end of the tax year, which is 10 months. And we get assessed on £14,000 in 2025-26. So that's what happens when we start to trade. Always the same, date of commencement to the following 5th of April. Watch out for the length of those periods, and don't forget the amount of work that's already gone in to arriving at your tax adjusted trading profit. So let's have a look at continuing trades. Yeah, so for continuing trades, we simply take the profits that have arisen in the tax year. So we take the profits that have arisen from the 6th of April in one year to the 5th of April into the next year. Once again, work to the nearest month. It's effectively the 1st of April to the 31st of March. Yep. So we're going to continue from illustration 2. We've got Alex. So we've got his trading income assessment there for 2025-26, but what are we going to get for 2026-27? Well, we're going to take the profits, obviously, from the 1st of April 2026 to the 5th of April 2027, and we've got 2 sets of accounts to deal with. So our year ended the 31st of December 26. We're going to take from April to December. We've already had 3 months worth of it last year, so we're going to get the other 9 months of it this year. So we're going to take 9/12 of that £24,000. That will take us to the end of December. And then for January, February, March 2027, we're going to take 3 months worth of the profits from the next period. And the next period happens to be the year ended the 31st of December 2027, £36,000. We want 3 months worth of that £36,000, so 3/12 of it gives us 9,000. So our tax year basis of assessment, our profits from April to April in the tax year actually works out to be £27,000. And that's what we take once again to Alex's income tax computation in 2026-27. Now, what when we cease to trade? So when we cease to trade, we're going to take the profits from the 6th of April to the date of cessation. So the 6th of April at the start of the tax year in which you ceased, up until the date that you actually ceased to trade. So once again, we're going to continue with Alex from the previous illustration. And we're told that he ceased to trade on the 28th of February 2028. So he's got a very, very short-lived business, has Alex. So up until the previous year, we managed to get up to and including the 5th of April 2027. So effectively, in the final tax year of trade, we tax everything that hasn't been taxed yet. Yeah, so we need to go from the 6th of April 2027 to the date of cessation, which we're told is the 28th of February 2028. Now, the 6th of April 2027 to the 31st of December 2027, our 12-month period of account in which we had a tax-adjusted trading profit of 36, we're going to take 9 months worth. Yeah, so April to December is 9 months. So we take 9 months of that £36,000. Remember, we had 3 months of it last year. And then we take the profits to the date of cessation. So we're told that for his final 2 months of trade, January and February 2028, he made a profit of £1,500. So therefore, total assessment for the final tax year, 6th of April to the date of cessation, works out to be £28,500. And that's what we're going to take to Alex's income tax computation in the tax year 2027-28. Now, where we've got losses, we're going to have a look at losses in a bit more detail in the next chapter. But the procedure for allocating losses is exactly the same as the procedure for allocating profits to a tax year. So as an example, once again, we've got Sarah. We've got Sarah's tax-adjusted trading profits and losses are as follows. So we've got a year end of the 31st of October. And the year ended the 31st of October 2025, we've actually made a loss of £18,000. And then we make a little profit in the year ended the 31st of October 2026. So if we're looking at our assessment for 2025-26, once again, we need to know what's happened between the 6th of April 2025 and the 5th of April 2026. Now, the 6th of April 2025 is within our 12-month accounting period ended the 31st of October 2025. So we need April, May, June, July, August, September, October. That's 7 months. So 7 months worth of our loss of £18,000 works out to be 10,500. So that's the results from the 6th of April 2025 to the end of the accounting period. But we've not finished yet, because obviously we now need from the 1st of November 2025 to the end of the tax year. And that lies completely within our second set of accounts, which started on the 1st of November 2025 and ends on the 31st of October 2026, which is 12 months. Now, it's profitable, it's 12 months, we only want 5 months worth from the 1st of November to the end of March, 5 months. So we take 5/12 of that £6,000 profit, which works out to be 2,500. And when we net the two off against each other, we actually end up with an overall loss, which works out to be £8,000. Now, we're going to have a look at losses in the next chapter, but where we've got a trading loss that arises in a tax year, we will see in a later chapter that the amount that goes to the income tax computation for that tax year is nil. Yeah, we always put nil, don't put a negative figure under the heading of trading profits. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at how we're going to relieve that loss. And that is something, like say, that we're going to cover in a later session. Okay, now I'm not going to have a look at example 1 with you. I'm going to let you have a look at that one yourselves. So we've got Sam, who started to trade on the 1st of December 24, and he makes up accounts to the 31st of December, and his first accounts to the 31st of December 25. So that first period of account, very important, is actually 13 months long, isn't it? So be careful when you are apportioning your profits and losses, because that is a 13-month period. And he makes a profit. After that, he makes another profit. Then he makes a loss. And then he ceased to trade on the 31st of January 2028. And he makes a small profit. So this is a very good question for you to have a go at, because we've got obviously opening years in there. We've also got cessation, and in intervening period, we've got our continuing trades, and we've also got a loss thrown in there for good measure. So I'll let you have a look at that one yourselves. Obviously, the answer to it is in the back of your course notes. But hopefully, after going through the illustrations in this chapter, you'll know what you're doing with that question. In the exam, once again, it could come up in any part of the exam, really. It could come up in section A, section B, section C. So it is very, very important that you're confident with allocating your trading profits or losses for a period of account to a tax year. Very important.